Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Leadership with Kevin and Naomi, change experts, international leadership coaches, adding value to people's lives, happening every Monday on ebizradio.com at 12 o'clock. Joining me is the very special, amazing, ever wonderfully talented businesswoman and leadership performance coach, Naomi. How are you?
Hello, Kevin. Very well, thank you. Thank you for that grand entrance. Very well, thank you. Cape Town is humid and hot. We're into summer at last, yeah.
Strangely, we woke up to a nice, cold, fresh kind of Johannesburg.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting, yeah.
We're like one day it's raining, one day it's sunny, one day it's cold. Like it's our weather's really, really strange.
But we're used to that in Cape Town. We have all 4 seasons in one day, so we're used to that. It's nothing new for us. So. We've got a wonderful guest today, Kev.
So I mean, and that's before you open the floor, I want to ask, because when we preface this conversation, one of the things that sort of occurred to me was the question: is leadership a skill that can be learned, or are some of us just born with it? Right. So, and having the conversation about who we're going to speak to now today, there's some proof in the pudding right here that we're going to speak to someone who really has turned around his life, right?
Yes.
So do you think, before we intro him, do you think leadership is a skill that can be learned?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think we're born with it. I really do believe that we acquire that. It's like an acquired taste. Some people just get it. Some people really need to work hard at it. It's like red wine in Cape Town, it's really an acquired taste. And the great leaders that we deal with, they really get it, So definitely something that you can learn.
And that's why, I preface that question, because you kind of go, okay, so if leadership is an actual skill, then it's like riding a bicycle. You have to get on it, and then you do it again, and then next week you do it again, or tomorrow you do it again, or you set it up so that it becomes a regular habit-formed process. Leadership is not that thing that those people who are at top management do. Leadership is a skill that everyone can learn, right? And we know how this works and how it plays out. But I think a lot of people still have that idea of leadership being those people over there, or it's not something I can do, or it's not something I want to do, and that's not really the case.
And it's like riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And when we talk leadership, I often say to people that when they ask me, what do you do? And I'll say, I coach with leadership as my main preference. And leadership for them, a lot of people, when you talk leadership, they think management. You teach people how to manage others. No, I don't. Leadership goes from any age. And you don't have to have people reporting to you. So when you're a mother, you're a leader to your children. When you're a prefect at school, you're a leader at the school. When you sing in the choir, you're a leader within that choir. So leadership is really about your own life. It's got nothing to do with anybody else out there. They just benefit from the fact that you become a good leader. But nothing to do with management.
And I'm so glad that you've sort of prefaced that, because that's exactly the conversation about or who we're going to be chatting to today, right? Yeah. Someone who was in a position that struggled through something very difficult and yet has come out of it on the other side and achieved some great, profound things because of it. Yeah. So tell us about today's guest. Tell us more, and please intro us into who we're speaking to today.
Okay, so I've just brought him in. So we're speaking to Mikhail Rajap today. So I don't want to take the glory. Hello, Mikhail. I want to ask Mikhail to tell his little bit of story for us, because really, when he tells his story, you'll understand, Kev, why I asked that we must get him here. So him and I met at a crucial time in his life. So Mikhail, I'm going to take you back to what happened before you and I met, and then we're going to talk about what happened after I met you. Okay, so I want you to tell the audience that doesn't know you from a bar of soap, they know nothing about you. Who's Mikhail? Where does he come from? And why are we talking to you today?
And also, I just want to preface it, like we want the details of this, because our audience are like they often tune in to good story, and I've heard about you, and I'm as keen as everyone else to wow, this is a good story. Tell us where how this all came about and the details of it.
Yeah, the story is usually very juicy. So if you do feel like you want to ask some questions, please do ask, because I might just miss a few things out. So cool. Right. So I'm a heroin addict. I've been addicted to heroin I've been in an active heroin addiction for about 8 years of my life. And in those 8 years, I've been through hell, basically. I've lost connection with my family. I've got kicked out of the house. I've been on the streets. By being on the streets, obviously I had to do certain things to survive. So, which means I found myself in jail, in Paulsmoor prison as well. Probably for the most extreme parts. Yeah, that's the extreme. You see, I'm fast forwarding so fast here. But I've been caught in the cycle of addiction many times. I've been relapsing as well. It was something really difficult in my life that I had to deal with. It took a couple of years, actually. You know, when you want to decide to make that change in your life, it's not like just immediately that some of us are able to do so. And like Naomi said, she came at a very crucial part in my life. And at that moment in time, me not knowing what I needed as well, I was open to anything, to getting help. And it came in the amazing program that I was able to do with Naomi whilst I was at rehab. And yeah.
So I want to jump in here, Kev. So I did some pro bono work at the Drug Rehab Center in Wellington, where I worked with the guys there. Loved every minute of it. Got to know so many of them, and they really go through some tough times. And it was so new for me when they asked me to come and work there. I still said, I can't help you because I know nothing about drugs. You know, for me, I haven't been exposed to these kind of things. And the guy said, that's exactly why we need you here. I went there every week and we just chatted, and I said, talk to me. You know, why are you here? What do you do here? Where do you want to go with your future and that? And I remember when we sat there, and I had to ask questions like, what is buttons? You know, what is this? What is that? I didn't know anything about. And the guys were laughing at me and saying, oh, where have you been? You know, and I'm like, where would I get drugs? I don't even know where to buy drugs. And they were telling me, you know, just go out the gate, you'll be able to find it there. So it was a huge learning curve for me. And in this process, I got to know Mikhail. He was there on his rehab stud of 12 weeks at the time. I think he was just in there. And he stayed longer. He did his 12 weeks and he decided to actually stay there. And when he decided to stay, he said, I want to study. I want to do something with my life. I don't want to just be a recovered drug addict. I want to do something with my life. And that's when I was approached by his parents to say, hey, can you help our guy to just do a bridge over thing before he goes to UDISA? And that's when I introduced him to Making of a Champion. So, Mikhail, I'm going to take you back to Making of a Champion.
Yeah.
What did you take out of that training?
First of all, I think what stands out the most to me is the fact that I've been through rehabilitation quite a few times before when we met at Wellington. And that moment when I completed the program and we were able to do something like the Making of the Champion with you. It addressed that void in my life. So what happened with previous programs, I always completed the program. Thereafter, whether I go home or I stayed a bit longer, I still didn't know. Like there was crucial elements or questions about myself that was never answered. And doing this program with you at that time, it helped me so much that I knew I had more direction, understood who I was. I knew what I liked. I knew what I wanted as well. Yeah, and that was there's no words that I can put to the amount of value that added to my life, seriously.
No, we ended up setting some goals for you. You ended up with doing a vision board with all your goals and how you're going to achieve them. I think the biggest goal for me was your studies. One of your goals was to go study. What did you study? Yes. Tell the audience about your studies.
Yeah, so the part of the goal setting, so I think we identified that one of my long-term goals was to start a rehabilitation center myself. And then the short-term goal there was to get myself enrolled to UNISA to be able to do a course that will get me to be able to offer these things on a professional level. So I think at that time I enrolled in the counseling course through UNISA. And yeah, that's one of the courses. That was the first of quite a few after that as well. That got me through the door to take my goals and my life more seriously, and got me to where I am today and also to where I want to be.
So where are you today? Tell our audience where are you today? What are you up to today?
Yeah, I can't believe it. If I rewind time, I don't think I'd believe that I'd be sitting here today saying this, but yeah, so So thankfully, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to sit here today and say that I have a registered outpatient rehabilitation center that is doing its part in the community where I'm from. So yeah, that's.
And you married?
Yes, of course. Married. I've got 2 kids, and yeah, happy life.
Well, so I mean, one of the things, I mean, I know we moving through this quickly, but I just want to go back. You used the word, where you started, where you felt a void. Like, don't you want to just give us some idea of what that is? Because I think a lot of people, when they think of leadership, I was just saying to Naomi, I think they think of leadership as this thing that other people have, and those people there, or
yeah.
White people, or learned people, or people with a degree. They always put it outside of them. Tell us about that void, and the making of the champion is quite a unique program, and how did that void get filled? I mean, what was the void for you?
I think the first thing that stands out for me about what you said there, it's your state of mind, first of all. So we coming from, a certain community, or grown up or spent a couple of years in addiction, we believe certain things about ourselves. And what the making of the champion actually did for me was mentally, I started believing in myself again and putting these things in practice. I could see myself growing in a leadership role as well. That was the one thing. There was something else on my mind as well. What was it now again? Could you repeat that question if you don't mind?
Yeah, just about the void. I mean,
the void. Yes.
Yeah.
So the void is, so spending that many years in addiction. I mean, 8 years. The only thing that was on my mind was the next fix and what can I do for my next fix. So you lose a lot of yourself, and I don't think it's only addicts, but I've met a couple of people as well that, they're living so-called normal lives, but they are not, it's almost like they're stuck. They're kind of stuck. And that's what happens to an addict. You're stuck in this place. And by doing the program, the first thing that we did that I enjoyed the most is that wheel of life. And you're like, oh my God, there's so much more to my life. and yeah, that's the first step that opened my eyes, at least, that I can start concentrating on. And that's what, for me, directly addressed that void. And Naomi was like, okay, so what are you going to do in this part of your life? What are you going to do in that part? And slowly but surely, by setting goals and steps, that's exactly how you do it. It's not something that you can just do like that. And, something's going to, it takes work. It takes work.
Yeah, no, it did take work. I mean, I saw you every week, and you had to put the work in, and it did.
Yeah.
And you know what, Kev, when you work with the guys at the drug rehab center, there is no lenience for these guys. When you say, I'll see you next week, you've got to see them next week, and they've got to do their work. The minute you give them a little bit of slack, for them, it really was about instant gratification. Now suddenly you're saying, hey, we're doing a 10-week course. It's a slow process. And Mikhail was like looking at me to say, 10 weeks, can we do this quicker? No, we're going to take 10 weeks to get through this.
I remember that.
And it was week after week. And I was like, keep on listening to your stuff. We need that change to happen in your subconscious. Listen to your stuff. Let's talk about it,
And that's why, sorry, I just want to, because hearing from both perspectives, I have a family member that has been addicted to drugs all his life. And also, I never understood it, but also being able to bear witness to someone going through a process like this and really starting to cultivate a whole new perspective. It's so, it's almost like a profound moment that you're kind of sharing with people, right?
Yeah.
Mikhail, so in terms of you in a rehab, you're going through this process, you're starting to take, didn't you find that also the peer pressure of not getting it done sort of like starts impacting the outcome, as when you kind of go, okay, well, now I know that I have to be part of this, and you like your peers are doing, and you kind of go, okay, cool, I know I need to get through this.
Are you talking about the addiction program, the rehab, or the life coaching course?
Yeah, so the actual coaching process. So you know that it's sort of it's there, and yet it's not something that's part of your world. It's not something that you do. I mean, because that's, to me, I'm kind of going, you're addicted to heroin, and now you're doing this process that you have to go through with a coach, and you're kind of going, oh man, I'd rather just get a fix right now. It just feel good, right? Like that must be quite the challenge.
I think this is where the point where it's up to the person. Like it's really up to the person. So where they are at that point in life. So when Naomi came in, when I met Naomi, it was the perfect timing in my life, because I was sick and tired of going through the same crap nonsense all over again. I mean, if she met me a year or two before when I was at the other rehab, I'd have wasted my time. I'd have been like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to put that much into it. I'm not going to put those things into practice. And that's what made the biggest difference. So for me, it doesn't matter where I was, but at that moment in time, there was a lot of distraction. I mean, I literally had to take from my own time, put it aside so that I can sit with the file, sit with the work. And I did it, and I could see immediately the results changing in my life, the people around me, even just that at that time at the center, at the rehab center. It was amazing.
I remember that. I remember starting to play soccer again and taking his guitar out and started playing music again. All the stuff that he just stopped doing, there was no time for that. There was better things to do than to actually use his God-given talents to actually do. So Ken, this is a program that not many people know about, because it's seen as part of our youth program. I want to just run through a little bit of the stuff. I mean, the program starts with the very first lesson as desires, where your motivation begins. So it really is, what is it you want? So the question I asked Mikhail is, what is it you want for your life? That's where we started with this whole process. And out of that came a whole lot of dreamless stuff that, I want to do this, I want to play soccer, I want to play guitar again. Own drug rehab center eventually.
I want to stop drugs as well. Yeah.
And you want to stop using drugs totally, So, and at the time you wanted to be a good father. I mean, your little girl was born already by that stage, and it was important for him to actually be a great father. And his parents, amazingly, I met both of them as well. Really practiced tough love with Miguel. I remember them telling me that they locked him out of the house. They told him to go away, and that was tough for me to experience in that, And then we talk about your abilities. What can you do? What can't you do? I think when you're in a drug rehab center, to want to go then study, it's the true question. Are you ready to go study? Or have you got what it needs to put in to go study?
The question that arose there, I remembered was, am I going to study full-time or am I going to do it part-time? So what I had to do was, like the program told me, I had to weigh what's happening right now in my life. So I was busy with recovery. That was number one in my life, because without the recovery, nothing else would come into fruition. So that's how we came with, let's do it through UNISA, and that just meant I had to put more effort into it. But if I wanted it that bad, I would do it, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow. And this program runs the same as all our other programs. Kev, we had a dream list. Like, write down your dream list. What is the dream list? Out of those, we're gonna actually try and get some goals. And are you prepared to pay the price for these things? What are you prepared to give up to get what you want? So would you pay the price?
That's my favorite one. That was my favorite. The law of sacrifice. You know what? When you told me that changed my life. That seriously, that got me thinking. I think that was the point where, or what the aha moment, I guess, in my recovery, when I learned that from you, is once again, previous rehabs, I didn't understand that if I wanted a new life, I need to sacrifice an entire life as well to get the new life. And that's what I did from there onwards.
Yeah.
So, question quickly, just before you carry on that point, Mikhail, you said you've gone through rehabs, right? So how old were you at this point, and how many rehabs had you gone through?
Oh, you asked me to think back. Okay, so Paul, in Wellington, that was my 4th or 5th rehab.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old were you at this point?
Naomi, do you remember how old I was? That was probably 8 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago about, yeah.
Yeah.
How old is that? That makes you 20
so,
what?
So that's 31 minus 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
early 20s.
23 years.
Early 20s, yeah.
And by this time, you'd already gone through a number of rehabs, eh?
Yeah. So I started using when I was 14 years old, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so and as you speak about what the program starts doing now, like you're mentioning, like what little things, you start paying attention to. Mikhail, on that question, do you think, if you take addiction as a sort of overarching theme, do you think a lot of people suffer from addiction because of that void that you mentioned? Do you think that's what people are sort of seeking?
Yes.
To fill themselves?
Yes, I would definitely say a big yes for that. That keeps people in addiction, that leads people to addiction, because it is an answer at that moment. Sometimes it is a quick fix, for that feelings, whatever you're going through. If you're trying to come clean, it's a reason for you to go back as well, that void. So something that must be addressed. Yeah.
Okay, but I think the big question always is, when I work this, is what's the next step for you? This has happened to you. This is your past. I get it. Can't change it. It's part of who you are. It's part of what happened.
Yeah.
What's the next step for you? What is the
Yes.
dream and the goal going from here? And that's what all our programs do. So what's the next step for you? What are you prepared to give up to get there? And how determined are you to get there? Do you believe in yourself? Do you have the passion to actually go there? Do you have the courage to go there? Do you have the motivation to go there? And that's what our programs touch on. It's he had to go do the work. I asked the questions. He had to go do the work and make the commitments to himself.
Yeah, it literally.
Sorry, yes.
I was about to say, the amazing of the part of the program that I love the most is that, I don't know if it makes sense, but it empowers me as an individual. It doesn't take any power away from me. It's up to me what I'm going to do with every single thing, from the very beginning of a reading and relating and understanding and feedback to you. I mean, you didn't give me anything. Basically, it had to come from me, and you, that's what I love the most. It really empowered me from the beginning.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful, man. That's amazing.
So tell us about your center right now. What do you do right now?
Yes.
Where you're based and what do you do?
Because this, just to preface that, so because you had this dream, it was part of what you wanted to achieve. You kind of put your sort of effort behind that, and today you actually have a rehab center based in Cape Town, and you actually work with a lot of people and do a lot for addiction, right?
Yeah. It is I feel like that's it's my purpose in life. It's to give back. And also it's one of the things that keeps me going as well. The ability to work with other people. I'm sure both of you are coaches as well. I mean, what you get in return from being able to help others in need, it's amazing. So with the outpatient rehabilitation center, what I decided was, the God works in mysterious ways. So the person that I'm married to, my wife, through her, I was able to get an office space where we run the entire program, and that is in Athlone, where the problem is huge. So being able to be situated, I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I decided to chill outside. I thought it would be nice. So apologies if it's a little bit too loud. So yeah, so where we are situated, it's really brilliant. And the fact that we are able to directly have an impact in the community, where it's a big problem. It's a huge problem. And the fact also that I've been through it as well. So I literally give my blood, sweat, and tears to each and every client to let them know that, I mean, you can do it no matter what you've been through. The help is there. There is things that you can do to get yourself out of whatever situation you find yourself in.
Do you sometimes look at these people and you think, oh my word, I was there. How do I get them how do I get them to just get that spark that I got? Do you sometimes look at them and say, I wish they could just get
you
that
could just
spark.
fast forward.
Yeah.
No, of course, I see myself in everyone, in each and every client, definitely. And that's what makes me, I think, humble and to be able to relate with them as well at the same time. Yeah.
I think once you've been there, it's so much easier to relate. It was very hard for me to relate with you guys because I told you guys, I mean, I never had children that used drugs. I didn't come from a family that used drugs. A drug rehab for me was scary. I remember going to the drug rehab center and I was scared to go there, and because my
I can imagine you were scared.
I was scared. I was like, I'm going to the
oh
center.
My God.
It's just a bunch of guys, and I was scared to go there. And then I meet this.
I mean, I myself was scared when I went there.
Yeah. And then we meet these amazing people. So where do people get hold of you? I mean, you're obviously in Athlone and Cape Town. Where do they get hold of you if they have a problem with an individual, a family member, or they need help? Where do they go?
I think the easiest way is just via Facebook. So if you search Dimensions SA, you'll find the Facebook page and you can contact me there. I think I'll send you my cell phone number or something as well. So my direct number, I always put that available, and then you can add it to the description. Yeah.
So Mikhail, if you can leave a message there to all the drug addicts out there that's going to make the choice to change their lives, what would you tell them to do?
Believe in yourself. God damn it. You know, I understand that I mean, I've been through it, and what addiction does, it makes you think so little of yourself. And yes, I understand it. I truly do understand it. But take that first step of putting yourself out there to get the help, and listen and take in and try and make your own decisions to decide for yourself, right and wrong. There's only right and wrong in this life. And don't get pulled in by the negative forces out there. Like, try and be strong as possible, and at least identify that one person in your life, because when it comes to addiction, I don't want to say you can't do it on your own, but it's really difficult to do it on your own. You're making the job so much more difficult. So get someone that you can trust and confide in, I guess, as well, because addiction comes with a lot of baggage, and sometimes there's certain things you need to speak about. That's also important to address. But for me, the most important thing is believe in yourself, because each and every one of us, we're here for a reason, and that is for good. So even though we fall, once again, it's a reason that you fell, so that you can get back, get up stronger, and maybe help save another life, you know? So yeah, that's my message to each and every addict, every recovering addict out there.
So Mikhail, my last question to you is, and like we started off the program today with just the sentiment that, do you believe that leadership is a skill that that can be learned, or do you think just people are born with it? And I know what your answer is going to be, but what is your view there?
Okay, so my view on that is that it's both. I think it's both. We all have it within us, because it's something that's got to be practiced. It's got to be learned. Got to put the effort in to be able to do so. Literally, when it comes, I mean, the first part is probably your mindset, what you're thinking, your thoughts about situations. And if you have those crazy or dirty thoughts, or how can I, we'd say character defects in addiction. And it starts with your thought patterns. And if you can recognize that, look, this is wrong, and start changing there already, that means you're on your way to changing. And then finding out, I guess, what is the leadership qualities that we need to instill. For me, myself, leadership, or to be able to call yourself a leader, there is no higher state for us as humans to be a leader. That's the ultimate for me. Because what you're doing there is you not just changing your life, but everything that you do, you're changing lives around you, whether it's family members or the people that you come in contact as well, because you act within your values, you know. So that's my thought on that.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you. Guys, if you want to, just to reiterate, if you want to go and check out what Mikhail's doing, please go and check out on Facebook, Dimensions SA. So Dimensions with an S, SA on Facebook. And obviously we're going to put in the link and description box, we'll put all the details. You can check it out there as well. Mikhail, thank you for making time to chat to us. That was that's so intriguing, and I'm a little bit dumbfounded by like the turnarounds. Like, that is just amazing.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much for joining us. And again, you know, I can't stop talking about your journey with us as a company. And again, it's you that made the choices and actually make us look good with what we do. So thank you for that. Regards to the family at home, and stay in touch.
Thank you. Same to you guys. Enjoy the day. Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day. Cheers for now. Bye. Wow, hey?
Yeah. So when you talk about choices in life, making a tough choice, for me, that it's what it's about. And when you sit with those guys, Kev, they often would say to me, when I ask them, why are you here? They would say, drugs put me here.
Yeah.
And it's that process of getting him to understand that it's the choices they made that got them there, not the drugs or the alcohol or the whatever it is that got them there. It's the choices they make. And when you go through Making of a Champion, where it talks about all those things, what do you choose? What is your motivation? Where does it come from? It's just an amazing program that was for that person at that time, the right thing to do.
It's funny. I have a brother that has been addicted to drugs all his life, and we're not very close because of it, and I don't know much about him. But essentially, what I never really understood was, what is the addiction? Like, what is that thing, right? Like, why do you keep yourself in that space? And to the word that, like, he used, void, and you kind of go, wow. If you think of a lot of people who are addicted to substance abuse or alcohol or sex addiction or whatever there is, there's always there's something that they're trying to connect with, right? And if you look at the Making of the Champion, the process that it sort of takes you, it's just giving you a wonderful framework of how to really understand who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, what's important, how to cultivate confidence, stuff that, like, we need internally to drive us and learn how to be leaders in our own world, in our own life.
Yeah. But we get these kids coming back from their gap year. I want to just do a little bit of a chat about that, because it goes hand in hand with this program. Kids coming back from a gap year, not knowing what they want to do now, because they went overseas for a year, had a party, worked maybe a little bit, came back. Now they're sitting there saying, what do we do now? This is such a nice bridge the gap after the gap year for the next step. Could I just quickly talk to you about it? It talks about where your motivation begins. It talks about realizing your abilities, giving direction to your dreams, paying the price. What is your dedication? Preparing then for victory. Victory, what is the work you want to put in? Your refusal to quit. Challenges with confidence, visualization, putting your proper value to winning, and then they talk about serious attitude, a quest for the best. I mean, those are the modules of Making of a Champion, So if parents are listening to us here, you've got a child that needs to do something before they go to varsity, or for whatever, they have a gap year. If you can't send them overseas because they can't travel right now and they've got a gap year in South Africa, use the time wisely and put them on a program with us that'll fill that gap for them for this year.
Absolutely. And just to, it just speaks again to the question that I started with was, is it something that's learned, or is it something that you're born with? And this just proves the point. You go to a heroin addict who's been in how many rehabs, and you kind of go, is it even possible for an addicted person to go through a mindset change that really transforms their world into? And now what he does, he runs a rehab center that's helping thousands of people all the time in exactly the same circumstance. So it just speaks to there's case in point of leadership right there.
Yeah, and I love that. For us, you and I both, we worked in an environment where we worked for other people, bad managers. We came through that. We now talk about what is the right thing to do, and we talk about leaders. And when we do LD management skills, as we teach people to do it right. And the same with Mikhail. He can now with confidence sit in front of a bunch of guys and say, "Hey, I made the choice." It's like here's a proven track record of someone who can do it, or we could do it. You guys can do it. So.
And also just to touch on it, I think a lot of people go through addiction kind of going, well, they don't really have an option. They don't have any other option, that they don't know how to change things. They don't know what the void is about. Thinking about when I was younger with my family member, I remember looking at him kind of going, no one understands why you're going through this. We all lived in the same house. There were 5 of us. And you were the only one that got to that degree, to that sort of demise of your life. But yet, when I look at it back now and I listen to someone like this, you kind of go, oh, okay, I understand what was, he possibly had a void that he didn't know how to explain or how to take care of. And my parents were not equipped to kind of deal with it. They didn't have the answers. They just wanted to love him and smother him with love. And that didn't work, it didn't solve anything. And I love the fact that he also said, everyone has this. You just need to cultivate. Everyone has the ability to cultivate leadership. And like you were saying right up front, it's something that we deal with. It's not something that managers learn or business owners. It's a personal thing that happens inside your head, and that's the I think it's a profound turnaround. I must congratulate you for being in that position, being that person to Miguel. I think it must have been such an honor for you to kind of witness.
Oh, it's humbling. Yeah, no, it's humbling, Kev. Like us, we go, we deliver the stuff, we're there to listen, we coach, but the work's done by the individual himself. So it's very humbling when they go through this process and they come out the other side and they absolutely shine. So yeah, that's why we do what we do. Love the results at the end of the day.
I just want to leave us with a bit of because I was looking at when I typed in this question today. I was anyone can learn from Forbes.com. I found this little quote from someone who wrote at Forbes.com, and I use Forbes a lot because it's a trusted, good representation of good content. Anyone can learn to lead, but not in the manner of an archaic carrot and stick. I make the rules brand of leadership. Rather, leadership in the new millennial kind of way is soft, not hard. It's quiet, not loud. It's human, and it's based in trust. And it's like, damn, that's significant, right?
Spot on.
Naomi, thank you so much. Thank you for chatting with me on the show today. It was such a fascinating conversation. And if anyone wants to get a hold of us, where do we go?
Website www.lmi-smi.co.za, Facebook, Instagram, Coach by Design.
Leadership by Design.
There's so many. Just check below, yeah.
Guys, then please join us. It's happening every Monday at 12 o'clock. If you want to get a hold of us, go and check out those websites and those sites and hashtags and all those necessaries. And then we want to chat to you. So to all the parents out there, if you are struggling with something like this, it might be one of the solutions that you could offer.
Absolutely.
Naomi, thank you so much.
Thank you.